NAB starts on Monday, April 13th, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to run through some predictions in anticipation for the event. I'll be there this year, so I can find out in person if any of this stuff comes true. But for now, all we have is wishful thinking. And the first thing that I'm guessing that we won't see at NAB this year is a Canon 5D Mark IV. I have absolutely no hope that they'll announce or reveal a 5D Mark IV. There's a lot of people hoping and wishing that they will, and I really don't think that's likely. Canon just announced the XC10 and the C300 Mark II, so it doesn't really make sense that they would have saved the Mark IV for just a few days later. I don't even really know why people are so excited about the 5D Mark IV anyway, just because the stuff coming from Canon lately has been pretty underwhelming. I do have hope that it will be awesome, that it will shoot 4K, that it'll do all these great things, but if the past couple years is any track record, I'm not getting my hopes up for that camera just because I'm preparing to be underwhelmed. The next thing we probably will see at NAB this year is a GoPro drone. Now, they've got the 4 Black, the camera, and GoPro's been really good with their action cameras, and all their cameras are being mounted on other people's drones. And I think it's the perfect time for GoPro to break into the market, get their own drone out there to compete with the DJI and some of the other drone manufacturers. And so you can kind of do like a combo package kit with the GoPro and the drone. It seems like the next kind of step beyond what they're currently doing. I think their company needs to expand beyond just action cameras. And I'd like to see like a proper camera from GoPro as well. But I think the most likely thing we'll see is a drone. DJI just announced their Phantom 3. So if GoPro can create something like that or better, it would be a perfect time to kind of take the wind out of DJI sails. But for right now, the DJI Phantom 3 is looking really, really nice. In previous years, in the past couple of years, we've seen a lot from Blackmagic Design, and I would expect the exact same thing. Every year they seem to have a camera that kind of wows or makes people scratch their head as like, what are they doing? And this year, I think they're actually going to make something, or at least announce something that'll be pretty incredible. Now, it won't be shipping, it won't be available. It'll do the kind of like coming this summer, coming later this year, and it probably will miss that ship date. But I would expect that they'll announce a new camera that's got a totally new design, separate from the Ursa, separate from the production camera, separate from the cinema camera or the pocket cam. I think it'll be a brand new design. It'll probably be 4K. It'll probably do RAW and ProRes, and I think the focus is going to be on high dynamic range and higher frame rates. Blackmagic has kind of been undercutting the market with their offerings, offering like really high-end features at low price points, but they've been struggling because the form factor is not the best. The cameras are not the easiest to work with, and I think they're gonna take that feedback they've gotten over the past 2 or 3 years and really hone the product down into something really nice. So we'll kind of get that like 4th generation camera that's really, really refined. Panasonic will probably announce new features for the GH4. Everyone's expecting log picture profile for the GH4. Panasonic has kind of hinted at it. But I also thought it'd be really, really cool if they also announce a fix for the 96 frames per second recording. If you're familiar, the GH4 records higher frame rates, 60 all the way up to 96 frames per second for slow motion. But when you go into 96 frames per second mode, the resolution takes a severe hit. And even though it says it's 1080, it's not nearly as crisp or sharp as the 1080 60 frames a second. So if through the firmware that they're going to announce for the GH4, it'd be really great to have log color profile, but it would also be really, really nice is if they had a firmware fix for that drop in quality for 96 frames per second. I'm not super hopeful for that one, but it would be a nice addition to that firmware to make it feel a little bit bigger and better than just a picture profile. Panasonic will also likely announce a follow-up to the AF100. I'm guessing it'll have a new name since the AF100 was not the greatest received camera. I know some people really liked it, but overall, I think that name, AF100, kind of has a tarnish to it, and I think Panasonic would be wise to create something new that maybe is a spiritual kind of successor to the AF100, but only in technology and features. So it's probably something with a micro 4/3 mount, could have super 35mm sensor, Who knows? But we'll probably see that this year. Sony, I don't expect too many major announcements from Sony just because they've been kind of rolling stuff out throughout the year. But one thing I would expect from Sony is some prototypes, some concept cameras or technology, basically just establishing themselves like they do every year that they're the leaders, they're the innovators. They're pushing the boundaries and moving technology forward. And I really like to see that stuff from Sony because even if we don't get the cameras, it's still fun to see that they're responding to market demand and making adjustments to their lineup and having that forward thinking rather than some of these other companies who do all that stuff behind closed doors and don't really show off any of their prototype cameras. As for a wild card, I think it's the year. I'm probably wrong on this, but I really think we're going to see a medium format video in some capacity. The Pentax 6.4Z has video functionality built in, but from what I hear, it's terrible and no one really cares. But I think it might be from Hasselblad, could be Pentax, it could be some unknown company. But I think sooner rather than later, we're going to start seeing medium format video take off. And even if it's only 1080, that's probably not the smartest thing to do. It probably should be 4K. But the first company that does that makes a big splash. Hey, it could even be Blackmagic. Who knows? But making a medium format video camera, I think, would really get people fired up because it's a new realm. Everyone's talking about full frame and that being kind of the pinnacle right now of where video's at. But if someone pushes that beyond full frame into that medium format territory and does it really well, unlike the Pentax 6.4Z, I think that would be huge. We'll see if it happens. And I think the overall trend for this year is just going to be higher frame rates and a focus on kind of codecs and compression and color space, the kind of basically all the stuff you want your image to retain and your footage to retain the quality of what's being recorded. I think last year everything was about 4K and we're kind of, it's becoming a standard fairly quickly. There's a lot of cameras that are still coming out that don't have 4K, but it seems like more often than not, everything is adding 4K. But just like we saw with the megapixel race in digital photography, years and years ago, that resolution or megapixel war in upping 4K, 5K, 6K, 8K, that will eventually burn itself out, and people are going to start looking to, okay, but does it shoot high frame rate? Does it actually record the broadest dynamic range? What's the color space on it? And a lot of people are asking those questions now, but they haven't been at the forefront because there have been like it's 4K, so it doesn't matter. Or, it's full frame, so it doesn't matter. Right now, the playing field's being leveled, and I think we're going to start seeing companies really pushing that their codec is better, or that, they shoot the highest frame rates, or that they have the biggest dynamic range. And that's going to start being the focus and the selling point rather than it just being 4K. Because now it's like, it should be 4K. What else does it have? Tell me what else you got. So I think that's going to be this year at NAB. There's probably going to be some other stuff that I can't even think of right now that's just going to come out of nowhere and we're all going to be shocked. And there's probably some stuff that's, pretty predictable and it's going to come out and we're like, oh yeah, that's great. That's kind of disappointing. But I'd love to hear your predictions, what you think NAB has in store this year. And hopefully we get to see a lot of this stuff come true, or hey, stuff that's even better than this.